We are now joined by today's race-winning crew chief, and that's Luke Lambert with the number 31 Granger Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. One thing to note, today's victory ends a 112-race winless drought for Richard Childress Racing. Now, Luke, I know how much of a driving force that drought has been within the shop. Can you talk about how much this win means for you and your team today?
Yeah, it's really hard to assess a magnitude for right now. I can't say enough about what it means. You know, I couldn't be prouder of everybody within the company, everybody on my race team. Ryan, you know, everybody has really worked very hard to get us here where we are today. And you know, I said earlier, I think that Ryan really left it all on the racetrack today. You know, he was exhausted. The track temps were really elevated, and he had to work really hard. And I think that was somewhat of a metaphor for what it's taken our company to get here today. I think that you know, you can see how wrung out he is right now, and it's just a sign of him giving his all. And you know, ultimately, we put him in a position to guard off a bunch of wolves with fresh tires behind him, and he rose to the occasion and made it happen. And that to me couldn't be a more fitting symbol of what this means for our company and what our company is going through to get here today.
Okay, we're going to open up the floor for questions. We'll start up here at the front with Reed. We'll go to Ryan, Dominic, and then to Bob.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Congratulations. Ryan said outside that he wanted two and you wanted none. How hard was it to convince him to go with that strategy?
There was no convincing. You know, I think that me and Ryan have a really good relationship, and I felt in my gut that it was the right decision. We have a lot of people working during the race at our company that provide a lot of really good, valuable information for me to see real time. And so I had a lot of good information in front of me that I was able to draw to right quick and make a snap decision, and I felt confident that it was the best call for us. I'm not going to say that when we made the decision I felt confident we were going to win the race, but I thought it was the only opportunity we had to win the race, and I felt like doing it was going to yield a better result than the other option. So, you know, ultimately that was the weighted decision, and I told him, and he said he can make the car wide, and obviously he did. So couldn't be prouder of him for rising to the occasion, and the relationship that him and I have been able to build with our race team to where we all have a lot of confidence in each other. And you know, he didn't question it, or at least didn't voice any questioning of it at all, and made it happen.
Go to Ryan, Dominic, Bob, then Jeff, then Kenny.
Ryan O'Hara, Race Chaser Online, the Performance Motorsports Network. Congratulations. My question for you is, now that you have the win in the bag, you clinched the berth in the chase, how is that going to change the way you attack these next races going forward?
Yeah, you know, I think it goes without saying, it puts us in a position to be a little more aggressive. You know, we haven't been in this position as a race team the last couple of years. I felt like we've had really strong cars and team and a team at given points in the season, and just haven't been able to play as aggressively and play as loose as some of the other teams can, as far as, you know, trying new components, trying aggressive setups, doing things that we haven't done in the past to see if we can, you know, see if they'll live and survive the test of a race, and giving us the opportunity we have now to have that kind of confidence will allow us to try some new things, and you know, go into Fontana next week with the opportunity to be a little more aggressive and you know, race with that level of confidence. So it means a lot. You know, ultimately, I don't know that it'll change everything we do, but I'm sure it'll give us opportunity to do some things that we couldn't do in the past.
Go Dominic, Bob, Jeff, Kenny.
Dominic Ottogona with the RacingExperts.com. So you've been a crew chief now in the Cup Series 6 years. Is it hard to believe this is your first win, and has it sunk in yet?
No, it hasn't sunk in yet, and I don't know at what point it really will. But it's odd. This was the racetrack that I won my first race as a crew chief in the Xfinity Series years back in 2012. So this has become a very special place to me. It's a really challenging racetrack as a crew chief and as a race team to create a race car that performs well. We have a great driver in Ryan Newman to come here every year, but we haven't been able to make the car as good as it needed to be at different points, and sometimes we've had good cars, sometimes we haven't. And today, ultimately, we had a pretty strong car, obviously, but it just means a lot to do it at such a challenging racetrack. And like I said, a place that we've won before, it means a lot, and I'm sure it won't really sink in until tomorrow or sometime later this week. And one odd thing for me is my 4-year-old son is at home celebrating his birthday today, and so I couldn't be with him, so it's pretty neat to do this.
Bob?
Bob Pockris, ESPN. When you first became a crew chief in 2011, did you think you would win on the Cup level before today?
I certainly had hoped that we would be to victory lane before now. I feel like our race team has surpassed a lot of expectations, but we have also not delivered as rapidly and as far as getting to the winner's circle as I would like for us to. And I just want to say how hard everybody has worked at our company for a number of years to get us here, and how proud that makes me. I can't say enough about Richard and his confidence and his drive. And, you know, one of our slogans this year at RCR has been, "It takes drive." And I think that us getting here today is an example of that drive and that steadfast, stubborn passion for racing and building better race cars that has taken years to get us back here.
Jeff?
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. What was your real thought when you're up there, though? Are you doing that because you're like, okay, you know, maybe we might be able to hang on for a win. If not, maybe we get a top 10. Or, are you just kind of throwing something and hope it works, or did you have enough knowledge of how the tires are wearing to go, I really think this is going to give us a like legitimate shot?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of data that kind of told me the later of what you said there. I ultimately knew our car wasn't very good on cold tires. We struggled every single restart. We were the best car after 25 laps of a run, and unfortunately cars kept blowing tires 35 to 40 laps of a run, so we never really got to really see the fruits of our race car. But we'd lose 2 spots on a restart, and then we'd gain 4 to 5 back as the run went on, and ultimately that 2 steps forward, 1 step back kept slowing our progression to the front. So the last thing I wanted during the last run of the race was another caution, because I'm like, we're just going to give up everything we got. And because I didn't want to sit there and watch our car lose more spots on a restart because we just didn't have the right setup for cold tires early in the run, I figured that our best opportunity to win the race was put the car out front and see if Ryan could make it wide enough. And I can't say that I felt confident we would win the race, but I felt confident that we would at least have a shot. So, and I did feel like we wouldn't be able to do anything else and give ourselves that opportunity.
Go next to Kenny, then to Jeff, then back to Bob.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Were you surprised at how many cars came to pit road?
I was, actually. I was really hoping nobody in front of us stayed out, but I could not say for sure that I thought that was going to happen. I knew we were going to be right at that pivot point, but I expected 1 or 2 guys in front of us to stay out. And, ultimately, what makes that call work is what the rest of the field does. And for us, we were in that right spot to make that decision. And, ultimately everybody else around us made the call that helped propel us to the lead.
Was there a window that you would make that call, whereas if it was, I think it was like 5 laps left or whatever, had it been 8, 10, 12, would your call have been different then, or would it have, again, depended on what the guys in front of you did?
There was certainly a window. And the window to stay out was very, very, very small. And being that I anticipated it was going to be a green-white checker, based on the length of cleanup that it was going to take to get the 22 car off the track, I expected that to be the case, so it made it a little bit easier to make the decision.
Next to Jim, and then to Bob.
JimMutterMotorsport.com. Obviously, this win means a lot to you and your team, but can you talk a little bit about what it might mean for RCR in general, which hasn't been able to celebrate a Cup win since the 2013 season? Yeah,
it's tremendous. One of the things that's really challenging about this sport is there's only one winner every week, and friends and people I grew up with that have recently started following racing and kind of want to learn more about it. I always describe it as it's a championship every single Sunday. You're racing against the entire series, the entire group of competitors. It's not like any other standard sport where you face one competitor and you have a 50-50 set of odds of winning or losing. You have a 1 in 40 chance of winning on any given Sunday against all of the best. So I think that because the way that racing is, and because of that, you know, it's really hard to build momentum. And the years it takes to take a company from not being where it needs to be to getting where it needs to be requires tremendous amount of changes, tremendous amount of trial and error, tremendous amount of hard work, working above and beyond, asking more out of people when they just don't see the results. And, you know, you can take a company and take it from a company able to build a 15th place car to a 7th place car, and it still doesn't feel like a victory. And recognizing those incremental gains is one of the names of the game in the sport, and, you know, helping everybody inside the organization to see, you know, we are tracking in the right direction. You know, we can't expect to hit a home run, you know, out of nowhere, but we need to expect to see results, pay attention to those results, and accurately measure them, and keep everybody's motivation level where it needs to be. And so that's a hard road, and it's been a hard road for a number of years for us. I don't know how many people I've worked with that are great employees that have struggled with, man, I just don't see I don't see the results. And, you know, even though I can come to the racetrack and see them, and ultimately everybody has continued to push on, continually brought better race cars, and we were able to see it today.
Okay, we'll go to Bob and then up to the press box for our final question.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Can you compare the feeling now to the feeling a couple of years ago when after Newman had tapped Larson and you guys made it to the finals of the Chase? I mean, is it a similar feeling, or how different is this feeling with a win?
I think the feeling when we transferred to the final round of the Chase in 14 was a bit of shock, and I was a bit surprised how exciting it was. You know, I knew it meant a lot to be able to make it to Homestead and, you know, ultimately give ourselves the chance at winning the championship, and we came so close. But I was surprised at how, you know, emotionally overcome I was. Just it was, you know, a challenge. It came down to the last lap. It didn't look like it was going to happen. Then, you know, we told him what he needed to do, and he put his nose to the grindstone and made it happen. And that was like, you know, overwhelming to watch happen. You know, even though we only ran, I think, 12th or 13th on that given race day. But here today, it's a lot different. You know, I think that this is something that, as a competitor, I've wanted to be a part of for so long that it's a bit overwhelming. You know, I knew it would mean a lot. I knew it would be overwhelming, and every race that has gone by that we haven't been able to win has ultimately made that hunger for victory a little bit more. And I'd say the shock is similar, but the excitement is higher. And this time I'm kind of surprised at how I'm not as excited as I feel like I should be right now, because I know that I haven't even completely absorbed it yet. Whereas last time I feel like that it was, you know, it was surprising that it meant so much, and to realize that we had transferred.
And we'll go up for a final question to the press box.
Yeah, actually I have two final questions. Wolfgang Munzer, Rennsport Press Agency. Mr. Luke, congratulations for you. I have two questions for you. I had the impression, maybe I'm wrong, but I had the impression stage races 1 and 2, Ryan took it right conservative, and then the last part of the race he was at the right time, at the right place. Maybe you can give some comment for that. And question number 2, how difficult is this under this very hot conditions, aero-wise, to set up the car for the race? Because the airflow is different than under cold conditions.
Yeah, you know, for us, I can't say that we were really conservative at any point during the race. We were trying our best to get up there. You know, we put ourselves behind on Friday with a bad qualifying effort. We just kind of missed it. You know, we weren't able to hit the short run speed that we needed to have in the race car to qualify where we needed to, so we knew we were going to have to start behind the 8 ball. And this is such a track position race. It always is. You know, even though you've got really good racing and cars coming forward and moving back, it's hard to come from 20th to the front. And so, you know, with us qualifying 22nd, it meant that it was going to be a challenge for us to get up there. And, you know, we had some issues earlier. The temperatures were really high, and we were surprised how hot our car got under caution earlier in the race, and we had to make some temperature adjustments with some tape. That set us back, and, you know, ultimately we just had to do the things we needed to do to make the car right so we could finish the race first. And we took those steps and, you know, kept inching our way up through there. And Ryan was so good on the long run, at passing people and moving up through there that ultimately that kind of moved us into the position to make that call at the end. So as far as the track conditions and how they relate to downforce, the hotter it gets, the less downforce there is on everything. The air density goes down, and that ultimately diminishes the downforce effects for everybody. I think that today's conditions made this more like a short track as far as preserving the tires and having a setup on the car where the tires would survive and not overheat more than we've ever had before here in recent history, or at least. So I think that these hot conditions put on a great race, and they really made aero matter less. I think the cars, combined with the new rules package that NASCAR put together this year, I think the cars have raced closer and put on some really good shows for the fans. So the aero forces just mean less on a day like today.
Okay, well, Luke, congratulations on the victory today, and good luck next week in Fontana.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
4 years old, Caden Lambert. Just say C-A-D-E. Yep, Cade. Yep. Congratulations. Thank you.